I'm not gonna lie, this shit was some good exercise. Like,
WWE Money in the Bank was 2 nights ago, and I slept on it. I enjoyed the show overall. We had some good matches, some questionable decisions that we're going to talk about here. But wrestling weekends, don't we love it? NXT Heatwave, yeah, Money in the Bank. Collision was that weekend. I know people were talking about that as well, but let's talk about Money in the Bank first, shall we? We opened the show with the men's Money in the Bank match. LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, Carmelo Hayes, Chad Gable, Jey Uso, Andrade El Idolo, all in the ring fighting for the chance to become Mr. Money in the Bank. I figured it was going to be the opening match because of what was going to come. I just thought that Seth and Damian would be the main event, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. This match was good, but if you compare it to like other Money in the Bank ladder matches, it's okay. It falls somewhere in the line of like the middle of Money in the Bank ladder matches. There was some cool spots. Carmelo Hayes and Andrade were taking bumps off of ladders onto ladders. Chad Gable was German suplexing everybody. I think one of the biggest highlights of the entire night was Jey Uso taking the ladder from underneath of Chad Gable, who was dangling from the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I thought for the slightest of a second, because of the way the ladder was positioned in the corner of the ring, where Jey Uso was and how my man Chad Gable was dangling, I thought we were about to see the Edge Jeff Hardy spot from WrestleMania 17 when Edge like went to the top of the ladder and speared Jeff Hardy. That's what I thought we were going to get, and that would have been lit. The ladder was set up perfectly. Chad Gable was in the perfect position. I think he should have committed to it. Instead, he waited for him to fall, and then he hit a spear, which was cool, but not as dope as that would have been. Soon after, when Jey tried to capitalize, Drew McIntyre came into the ring with a smaller ladder and threw it at him, and he ascended the top of the ladder, grabbed the briefcase, and won. Drew McIntyre became Mr. Money in the Bank. And this is what I predicted this. I knew Drew McIntyre was going to win. I had a lot of people saying, oh, CM Punk's going to interfere, cost of the match. I said, no. I think he's going to win this match, and then it's going to happen later. Is it a waste of a cash-in? We'll talk about it later. As far as this match goes, when it comes to like grading a ladder match, I kind of go based off of like the criteria I grade other ladder matches off. Were there fun spots and how many? Were there stories being told and how many? What were the stories being told? What was the conclusion of the match? Does the winner make sense? And the excitement behind the winner. Couple all that together, I would give this match like 4 stars. At its core, in ring wise, it was good, but like that's kind of it. All the main players came out and got their spots in. Drew McIntyre winning made a lot of sense. The execution of him cashing in, again, we'll talk about a little bit later, but I would give this match 4 stars. Then we got into Sami Zayn defending his Intercontinental Championship against Braun Breaker. Okay, let me just say, this match also was good. Sami Zayn in the underdog role, you can't go wrong with it. I think he's one of the best at it going today, and has been for the last nearly 10 years. Braun Breaker has been mowing people down for the last couple months. I mean, for God's sakes, he basically is the guy who took Ricochet out of WWE. He's an absolute freak of nature. He's super strong, super fast, can do it all. In this match, we saw him do a top rope Rana, basically a top rope Frankensteiner, because he didn't have any hands when he did it. Running the ropes fast as possible, throwing Sami Zayn around the place, hitting suplexes. He's basically almost the modern-day incarnation of Brock Lesnar, except he can just do more than Brock can. Which is why the ending really frustrated me. Because mind you, Sami Zayn, he's getting set up for Braun Breaker to hit the spear. He hasn't hit it all match. I could see the spot coming from a mile away, because he's in the corner, Braun Breaker is about to run at him, and then I can see Sami Zayn getting out of the way. Sami Zayn jumps up, Braun Breaker runs into the corner, Sami Zayn quickly runs to the other side, and hits the haluva kick. Now, I thought, okay, they about to continue on for another 4 or 5 minutes, maybe give Sami Zayn like another haluva kick, and then that's it. No, he lost the one haluva kick. 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn retains. And I was trying my hardest not to be that guy. I don't want to be a fickle fan. I'm not trying to be a fickle fan. But Sami Zayn has been making it really hard for me these last 3 months. This guy beat Gunther when I thought it should have been Chad Gable. Then went on to beat Chad Gable 3 times. And then he beat Braun Breaker in their first match to one haluva kick. Listen, I'm fine with Sami Zayn beating Braun Breaker because I didn't think Braun Breaker was going to win. I thought he should have won, but I didn't think he was going to win. It's his first championship opportunity. I honestly thought they should have just waited until SummerSlam to do the match, but they wanted to do it a month early. Okay, fine. But one haluva kick? Really? I know people online were like, oh, y'all talk about one haluva kick. It's not that big a deal. Sami Zayn is to be protected. I get that, okay? I get the haluva kick as a protective finisher. It's a strong finisher. I get that. But aren't we supposed to be protecting Braun Breaker here? Isn't Braun Breaker the star we're supposed to be making here? Isn't Braun Breaker the guy with the most momentum here? Why would we stunt his momentum by having him lose to one haluva kick? It's not like Sami Zayn hasn't had to do more than one haluva kick in a single match. You mean to tell me it would have hurt Sami Zayn's credibility that much for him to hit a haluva kick, Braun kicks out, give him 5 more minutes, Sami hits it again, and then that's it? People wouldn't be online, maybe they would, but not me. Wouldn't be online talking about this if there were like 2 haluva kicks and that's it. Bro, you're building up Braun Breaker to be the killer and he loses to 1. I'm not understanding this. On the same show, Jacob Fatu got hit with Randy Orton's signature DDT and he got right up from that shit. I wasn't expecting Braun Breaker to no-sell the fucking haluva kick. I'm not that delusional. But he couldn't have kicked out at 1? Alright, bro. I'd give this match 3.5. It did its job. Again, I think it is good, but wrong man won. Gotta knock it down some. Trish Stratus is the host of Money in the Bank, and she brings out John Cena. John Cena came out and he announced his retirement. I know, like a lot of you 90s babies, I didn't eat last night. I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning. Wasn't paying attention this morning. I thought I was pouring myself a glass of water. It was a glass of bleach, but I stopped because then I remembered that John Cena said that he is going to wrestle a couple more times. A lot more times, actually, in 2025. Before he retires. There's a lot to digest with John Cena's retirement, and I'm going to dedicate a whole video to it, so stay tuned for that. We're going to move on to the next match. Damian Priest defended his World Heavyweight Championship against Seth Rollins. This was a very, very, very polarizing match for more ways than one. Firstly, the work rate I felt like was on the cusp of getting good, and then it kind of got shortchanged, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. There were stipulations going into this match. Seth Rollins, if he loses this match, he can't ever contend for the World Heavyweight Championship as long as Damian Priest is champion. And if Damian Priest loses, he must leave the Judgment Day. There's stakes going into it, but the stakes don't really feel that heavy, if that makes sense. They're hitting their spots, they're doing their thing, and I feel like the whole crowd is just kind of anticipating a cash-in, and that kind of took away from the match, given how everything was set up. Do you guys agree that the anticipation of the cash-in took away from the match a little bit? Because I barely remember anything from the match actually happening. Seth Rollins is a superplex into a Falcon Arrow onto Damian Priest, goes for the pin. 1, 2. Referee goes for the 3. His hand's like damn near the mat. Stops. And then there was nothing. Seth Rollins is looking around like, what the hell? Damian Priest had this look on his face like he was mad and confused at the same time. Damian Priest didn't kick out, but the referee stopped the count. Now, I thought Damian Priest was concussed. Maybe he got hurt. He missed the... I don't know. I thought it was Damian Priest's fault. Then, like 5 seconds later, Drew McIntyre's theme song hits. Then as time went on, I started to realize that it must have been production's fault because there's no way Damian Priest did not kick out because he missed his cue. And Damian Priest was perfectly fine after this point, too. Drew McIntyre comes out, officially cashes in, makes this a triple threat match. I called this exact same scenario down to a T. CM Punk comes out, he costs Drew McIntyre the match. Damian Priest hits his choke slam, the South of Heaven, and he gets the pin. And Damian Priest retains the World Heavyweight Championship. Listen, you can go back and watch my Money in the Bank predictions, but the exact same scenario that I pinned down to a T happened with this championship match. Am I happy that the exact same scenario that I want to happen? Not really. Just because I felt it was going to happen and it happened doesn't mean that I actually wanted it to happen. I just had a feeling it was going to happen. I didn't want it to happen like that. Because essentially you threw away the whole Money in the Bank briefcase to advance a storyline that already seems like it's at its boiling point now. I'll give Triple H all the credit in the world for somehow managing to take a storyline between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and extend it out 7 months without them having a single match. I was asking people on stream, when is the last time we saw a match get stretched out for this long without a single match? The only match I could think of, chat could think of, was John Cena versus The Rock from like 12 years ago. No other storyline gets extended out from that long without a single match. That's impressive. It's great. I've been enjoying it. I think they've done just about everything there is to do. This was like kind of the last little thing they could do was to cost them the cash in. And yeah, the moment itself is like shocking and it's jarring, but it didn't need to happen. CM Punk, in all honesty, could have just interfered in the Money in the Bank ladder match and cost Drew the opportunity to win and have somebody else win. Instead, you had Drew win, cash in the same night, and throw it all away just to advance a storyline that, like I said, is already at its pinnacle. My thing is, what else are they going to do with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre? I'm sure Drew McIntyre dragging AJ Lee to the ring and threatening to punch the shit out of her. Can they make this storyline any deeper than it actually is already? At this point, they need to either have a match at SummerSlam, or they need to cool this off a little bit. We don't need to ruin other matches to advance this one. This match gets 3 stars. It was going somewhere, and then it got shortchanged. We were graced with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, featuring Io Sky, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany, Stratton, Naomi, Zoe Stark, and Canada's own Chelsea Green. Or is it Chelsea Green? You gotta say it like Samantha Urban, otherwise you're not saying it right. Anyway, this was the single best women's Money in the Bank ladder match ever. The best one. All of these women killed it. Naomi was doing spots. She took a nasty back bump onto a ladder. Tiffany Stratton was doing moonsaults and shit. Zoe Stark is the MVP of this match because she took the brunt of, like, I think everything here. Her doing her twisting thing on the rope and damn near her head collided with the ladder. I'm surprised she didn't get cussed on it. Her being set through a ladder on the outside. This really scary but dopest spot of the night where Io Sky takes a dangling Zoe Stark, and I thought she was going for a power slam off of the ladder onto another bridging ladder, but no, she does basically a Emerald Flosion driver onto Zoe Stark, onto this bridging ladder. It is nasty. It is the most dangerous. I thought it was going to be the most dangerous spot in women's ladder match ever, but it wasn't. Io Sky sells it like it's awesome. Zoe Stark just, again, MVP of the night is Zoe Stark. But this spot manages to get topped. Because there's 2 ladders set up in the ring, right? They're like standing straight up. They're the really tall ladders. And there's 2 tables that are set outside the ring, like conjoined, like back-to-back tables. Tiffany's already up one. Chelsea's climbing up the other. Chelsea's on the opposite side near the tables. And we could see what's about to happen here. But I didn't believe it was going to happen. Because we've seen this spot before with Matt Hardy, with Edge, with Shawn Michaels. Usually it's like a 4-stack tables, which I thought would have been even more lit, but they just did 2. They get pushed off and they go through all the tables. I don't think I've ever seen a woman do this spot. Not in WWE, not in Stardom, anywhere, ever. I did go online, I see Chelsea Green has done this spot before in TNA, but I didn't know that before this. Chelsea Green goes off the top of this ladder. Had to be at least like 10, almost 15 feet. Out of the ring through 2 tables. Just props to her for taking that spot because that was insane. Tiffany Stratton reaches the briefcase. She pulls it down. She is the winner of the 2024 Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And unlike most years, she did not cash in the same night. It was instead the men. I was shocked. I know. I've had Tiffany pegged to win since the beginning of the year. This is the right choice to make. Can't wait to see what she does with this briefcase. I saw an interview. She plans on like bedazzling it, like painting it pink and kind of like carrying it around like a purse, which I think would be just an awesome element to the character. I know some were upset that Naomi didn't win, but I'm almost certain there's going to be a match between her and Bayley somewhere down the line. And I don't know if Naomi's turning heel for that to happen, but they've had Naomi and Bayley kind of like with each other for a while now, so that match is definitely happening at some point, and she doesn't need a briefcase to do it. Plus, the Money in the Bank is a very heel-heavy concept, so I think Naomi winning really just wouldn't have worked that much. Tiffany, it just fits. It just fits for me. I would go as far as to give this match 4 3/4 out of 5 stars. It's not perfect. I don't even know if it's top 10 ladder matches of all time. But god damn it, this is the best women's match they've had in terms of ladder matches. And this, bar none, is the best match of the entire night. Women killed it. They deserve all the flowers in the world. Kudos to them. Then we get into the main event of the evening. Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens, New Legacy. That's not what they're called, but I'm going to call them New Legacy. Versus Bloodline 2.0's Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and the debuting Jacob Fatu. This match was, I don't know, it just wasn't clicking. Like, I can't say it was a bad match. The cohesion was there. Jacob Fatu looked so strong. Randy Orton hit his signature DDT, and the man got up like it was nothing, just doing the whole like thing. Like he's giving me Umaga vibes, and I love this. Tama Tonga, I feel like has kind of just fallen into this role in the Bloodline where he's just kind of there to just take offense from other teams. You know, Cody and RKO, they were going to shine no matter what. It was just very main event Raw quality match. It felt like a TV match. There was nothing remotely memorable nor special about this match whatsoever. I think this match could have definitely benefited from being like a no DQ, a no holds barred, something so that way they could throw weapons in there and spice it up. Because before I talk about the finish, I do want to mention this because I think it's unfair that people don't mention this, is that there was one point where Cody Rhodes did a suicide dive onto Tangaloa, and Tangaloa's head just straight up hit the back of the announce table. I was shocked this guy was not concussed, or maybe he was. He was definitely loopy after this point, but this leads into the finish. Kevin Owens put Jacob Fatu through the table with a frog splash through it, so he's laid out outside. Kevin Owens has Tama Tonga in the ring, gets him up for the package pile driver. Tangaloa gets into the ring, goes to low blow this man, and just straight up misses like almost all of his body. He basically got Kevin Owens in his ass. Like punched him right in his ass, and it was just like, he goes for it again, and he hits it correctly this time, but if you look at another angle that I saw on Twitter, he straight up just bops Tama Tonga right in the head on the way down from this low blow. It was just so messy and chaotic. But again, if we take into account that Tangaloa may have been knocked loopy, I think we got to give Tangaloa just a little bit of grace. A little bit of grace. Listen, I know it's hard to give him grace because you see other clips of him and people say he's not a good wrestler, and maybe there's some truth to that, but listen. If he was knocked loopy and he's concussed, I think y'all gotta chill with that. After the low blow, Solo Sikoa got into the mix, and then it was him and Cody, and Solo hits the spike onto him, and he pins Cody Rhodes, and the Bloodline wins this match. This was the most predictable match of the entire night, and in a way, I thought it was also the most disappointing. I expected this match to be way better than it was. Honestly, I wouldn't give this match any higher than 3.25. Like, it's decent. Maybe if you find some good stuff in here outside of the Kevin Owens frog splash, it's good, but like, it was just doing nothing for a long time. And then the finish came, and that was kind of it. Bloodline wins, and now we just see what the next sequence is going to be. I think the obvious path is going to be Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, and I think that's where we see the return of Roman Reigns. I will say again, when Roman Reigns returns, it's going to be a monstrous reaction. Depending on his SummerSlam card, I'm going to have to make my way out to Cleveland, and I did not plan on going to SummerSlam, but I don't know, man. I might have to be there for that Roman Reigns return, man. Money in the Bank had some questionable decisions, but overall the wrestling is good, and obviously there was a lot to like about this show, so I would give it 7 out of 10. Like once you go out of 10, I hate doing 7.5 and 7.75, so I want to go a whole number. It's either 7 or 8. I don't know if it's quite an 8, so I'll go 7. What you guys think of Money in the Bank? Comment down below. Let your boy know. We're going to roll right into an NXT Heatwave review after this if you're watching this on YouTube. Coming out of NXT Heatwave, this was the closest we have gotten to an NXT TakeOver-esque show in years. This was NXT Gold OG revived. This show was just chef's kiss. It was great. It was awesome. It may have even been better than Money in the Bank, but let's talk about it. NXT Heatwave kicked off with Obafemi defending his NXT North American Championship against Wesley. And mind you, we're hot off of Wesley already having a championship opportunity at the last NXT pay-per-view event. It was him and I believe Joe Coffey, which Obafemi retained that as well. So in a way, this is kind of like Wesley's like final chance to finally get the title back. He's got a one-on-one opportunity. First things first, can we appreciate just how much color is on this motherfucking show? Black, 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 black. And yes, mixed race is black. We're not going back and forth about this. Part of the reason why I think this show might have been so good, there was just so much color on this show. So much to go around. I love it. I mean, it was great. I mean, it was literally David and Goliath to the max. Obafemi finds a way to impress me every single time I see him with his new feat of strength. The way this man is able to just press this guy up and thrust him like almost 10 feet into the air is just insane to me. I know Wesley is lightweight compared to him, but it's still impressive to throw a grown-ass man into the air like that. His ability to hit an F20 is also insane. But then you can't sleep on Wesley, who is just a tremendous high flyer. The guy is running, or at least attempting, to run circles around Obafemi in this match. And he's actually doing it for a good part of it. There's like 2 parts where he hit the cardiac kick, and I thought, okay, maybe, probably not, but maybe this is it. And it wasn't. Unfortunately for him, it was never it. Wesley tried for a 3rd cardiac kick and Obafemi caught him. For some reason, he let go and then they retried the spot. But on the second go around, he caught him, threw him all the way up in the air. And this man just felt right on his ribs and on his front. It looked like it hurt coming down. Then got him up for the fall from grace powerbomb and got the pin. Obafemi retaining the NXT North American Championship. Like I said, this match is really good. Some could even say it's great and I wouldn't argue with it. There was a couple botches in one spot where Obafemi caught Wesley from a frog splash position, even though Wesley straight up hit the whole entire frog splash, and Obafemi looked like he caught him with his hand, and he just stood up, and it looked like he just straight up no-sold the frog splash. But I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. Outside of those few flubs, there was a lot to love about this match. I would give it 4.25 out of 5 stars. Would not mind seeing these two face off one more time. I mean, if Wesley's going to lose, maybe not, but still, like, good chemistry all around. We then had Kanani Jordan defending her NXT North American Championship against Sol Ruka. I'm happy we got to see this match because I started watching NXT around the time when Sol Ruka was injured. And I saw so many clips and heard so many great things about her. And I'm finally getting the chance to experience what she really can do. Kanani Jordan I already knew was good. And, you know, some people were skeptical about whether she should have been champion. It should have went to Jada Parker. I may or may not be one of these people. But man, did she shut my ass up and a lot of them critics because her and Sol Ruka had a very tasteful exhibition. This by far has to be one of the more acrobatic women's matches I have seen in a very long time. I saw some people calling it the women's version of Ospreay versus Ricochet, and I don't know if we should go that far, but they were doing their thing in this match. They were going counter to counter, flip for flip. At one point, Sol Ruka, and I don't even know if I've ever seen this before, she hits a 450 clothesline. Like Kanani Jordan is standing up. She does a 450 springboard into a clothesline to Kanani Jordan. That shit was so fire, son. I've never seen that before. You go, girl. These women were trading pins, doing ranas, doing suicide dives all over the place. If you're into spotty wrestling, this is the women's match for you. It's not every day you see a spotty women's match, but this was it. And it really stood out for that matter. One of my favorite spots in this match is when Sol Ruka went for the Soul Snatcher, which is her inverted, like, RKO, basically. And Kanani Jordan stops her almost mid-move and just takes her foot and thrusts her forward as she falls back to the mat. It was so simple of a counter, but like so cool to watch. Got a little homage to Sasha Banks versus Bayley from TakeOver Brooklyn when Kanani Jordan did an inverted Poison Rana off the top rope. Then followed that up with the RVD split-legged moonsault to get the win and retain her NXT North American Championship. This was just fire, and I thought a really good follow-up to Obafemi versus Wesley, which was a David and Goliath battle, but not like super fast. This one was basically picking the crowd back up. These women showing off their gymnastic, acrobatic background, and I just loved it. I loved every second of it. I would go 4.5 out of 5 stars. Kanani Jordan is proving why she was the right woman to win this championship. Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus Chase U for the NXT Tag Team Championships was the revival of that old classic NXT TakeOver tag team chemistry. The best way I can describe this is if you watch the takeovers from like 2015 to even 2019, the NXT TakeOver tag team matches were can't miss. They start off slow, setting the pace. There's a lot of separation between tag team partners, but as they get further and further into the match, it starts amping up and amping up and amping up until you get to that final 5-10 minutes of what turns into an epic tag team battle. Something that I feel like has been missing from WWE's tag division for a long time. Honestly, probably since the Usos lost the tag team titles, I would say. Axiom and Nathan Frazier, I think, have been doing a great job as tag team champions. This match truly showed that the NXT tag division is in good hands. I mean, look no further than one of the highlights of this match being Axiom hitting a top rope Rana. Then Nathan Frazier on the other side of the ring hits a Phoenix splash. He goes for the pin. Then Duke Hudson, who's getting pinned, right? Andre Chase comes into frame, steps on the back of Nathan Frazier doing the pin, uses that momentum, and hits a Canadian Destroyer onto Axiom. That was straight out of the NXT 2017 playbook. I don't care what nobody says. They were just on go for that last 10 minutes, and I loved every second of it. Not gonna lie, one point scared me because Axiom accidentally kicked Nathan Frazier, and I said, if they do a turn in this match, I'm going to turn the show off. Too high on emotion after John Cena retired. Don't do this to me right now. They stuck together. Axiom hit his golden ratio onto Andre Chase and got the pin to retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. I'm gonna go 4 3/4 for this match. It banged out. I recommend you go watch it. Roxanne Perez defended her NXT Women's Championship against Lola Vice. This was definitely the weakest match on the show, but by no means is this a bad match. I would say at the minimum, it is good. Roxanne Perez, she had a fantastic match with Jordan Grace a month ago. We all know how great she is. Lola Vice, she's getting there. I think she needs a little bit more work. Like, you can obviously tell she's trying to blend that MMA wrestling style the way that Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey did. And it's just, I feel like when she's trying to do that, she's also trying to do wrestling more so. And it's just this weird dichotomy that is messes up sometimes. Also consider the fact this was the forced cooldown spot because you just had like 3 great matches back to back. Some match had to be the come down, and this was the come down. So they were slowing it down. They were trying to tell a story. The story was that Lola Vice would not give up, and she wasn't. I mean, she was hanging in there. She kicked out of a lot. She kicked out of way more than I thought she should have. She got hit with a pop rocks in the ring, kicked out. Got hit with a pop rocks onto the announce table outside. Then got put in the ring, kicked out of that too. Then proceeded to hit 3 back-to-back pop rocks onto Lola Vice, which I thought was just overdoing it. You know how we were just talking about how Sami Zayn doing 1 haluva kick onto Braun Breaker was not doing enough? Well, doing 5 pop rocks on Lola Vice, that's doing too much. I understand she's never give up, but like, it's Lola Vice. She's not the second coming of China, you know what I mean? Like, 2 would have been fine, 3, okay, but 5? Alright, bro. Alright. I would go like 3.5. Not bad. Just good. Doesn't take away from this show being outstanding as we get into the main event. Trick Williams defended his NXT Championship against Javon Evans, Ethan Page, and Shawn Spears. This was a fantastic Fatal 4-Way match. Multi-man matches are always supposed to have that balls to the wall action, and it was non-stop in here. First of all, Javon Evans, MVP. I know this kid's gimmick is that he's bouncy, and oh my god, the way his body just smoothly goes through the air as he's doing these dives and these springboards is mesmerizing. Like in the world where there are so many light heavyweights that are doing the same moves, Javon Evans, he's not doing anything super different, but it's all in the delivery and presentation of his moves that makes him stand out from the pack. There's a bright future with that kid. I can't wait to see where he goes. Shawn Spears is in this bitch with the chair. That was really the highlight for him. His whole thing was just going after Trick Williams. He was so obsessed with Trick Williams and that cost him later on. We'll talk about it. Ethan Page's game was to outsmart and outwit people, at the same time making his presence known, and that was shown. Trick Williams was to defend the title at all costs, but also this like buddy-buddy mentorship with Javon Evans we saw come into play. At times he seemed a bit hesitant to attack him. At what point he shoved him onto the announce table and broke. He looked almost regretful for doing it. There were so many stories being told here, but the finish is what topped it all off. Trick hits the knee onto Javon Evans and bumps Shawn Spears off the apron. Then hits the knee onto Ethan Page, who falls on Javon Evans. Then falls in motion. Shawn Spears stops Trick Williams from breaking it up. Ethan Page gets it. Ethan Page is the new NXT champion. Fantastic match, fantastic ending, 5 stars. I'd give this show 9 out of 10. Easily better than Money in the Bank. Let me know what you guys think down below. Talk more soon.